This week on Dance of Joy, we reminisce about travel agencies, we wonder about airline employee perks, and we say duty 27 times. All that and more as we watch Season 7, Episode 13 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Sophia. I'm one of your hosts, and joining me is your other host, who is also my brother. What's up, Imran?
Hello, cousin listener. Hi, sister. How are you? I'm good. Excited, maybe, to get through this episode. Look, if we're
excited.
Look, what are we talking about? Perfect Strangers, Season 7. It is the later season, so I'm hoping we can be an impartial and fair judge of these episodes and reach a verdict that will be honest, critical, but truthful and honest by the end of this whole journey.
Well, speaking of judges and verdicts, this episode is Season 7, Episode 12, entitled Two Angry Men.
Oh, there's just two?
Just two.
I believe this is a play on that famous movie from the 50s, 12 Angry Men. There was 10 more.
Yes.
They were all very angry.
Yes, it was a New York City murder trial, and the 12 Angry Men is about a man on the jury who held out against the other 11 male jurors.
Very famous movie.
12 Angry Men.
Directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Henry Fonda. Gets nominated for 3 Oscars.
Whoa.
It's often talked about and referred to. So, this is a classy reference here, I think.
So right from the title, we know that this is something jury-related.
Yeah, you know what you're getting into. Somebody's going to be holding out.
Kind of what the story's going to be.
Maybe.
And if you were to read the TV guide ahead of this episode, you would have read the following description. Thanks to a civic-minded Balky, the cousins get called to jury duty just days before Larry's trip to Bermuda with Jennifer.
Oh, boy. Okay, we got conflicting things going on here. This episode, of course, starring 3 of our fantastic foursome.
3.
Just only 3. Bronson Pinchot as Balky, Mark Lynn Baker as Larry, and Melanie Wilson as Jennifer. What's her name's missing?
Marianne. Maybe she had a flight.
Skinny Minnie is not in this one. Maybe she's on a different
work schedule.
And, of course, since there's a jury, there's going to be guest casts. We will get to them.
This episode aired on January 3rd, 1992.
Oh, we are in 92. Happy New Year.
1992.
Happy New Year. And you can stream all of this on Amazon Prime in 2024 for a per season or per episode fee. We were just watching it and I noticed it said Emmy-nominated, 1992 Emmy-nominated series.
Oh.
That is correct. And the 1992 Emmys...
In 92?
Yes, Perfect Strangers
for this season?
Gets a nomination for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Makeup for a series.
Oh,
it got a makeup nomination.
Possibly for Mama.
So what's funny is in 87, they get an Emmy nomination, Outstanding Lead Actor for Bronson.
Okay.
In 89, Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series, Doris Roberts as Miss Bailey.
Who was that?
Remember, she was the lady who was the house cleaner, and it was like her mom, and they had to let her go.
Yes.
But Doris Roberts, huge comedy name.
Yes.
Okay, it's still pretty good. We went from Bronson, the lead, getting a nomination.
Nothing for Mark Lynn Baker.
Nothing, and then only the 3rd Emmy nomination, 1992, Outstanding Individual Achievement in Makeup. They get the makeup nomination.
Makeup. It was good makeup, though.
It was. The Mama makeup was fantastic. Anyways, that is all to say. If you want to watch these seasons... play along. Hit it up on your Prime video.
Yeah, you can afford a few episodes. We're almost to the end.
Yeah.
2 seasons worth. 2 seasons worth you'll have to buy. Okay, let's get into Two Angry Men. In Act 1, we begin at their house, the big house.
The castle.
And Larry's on the couch in the living room reading a newspaper, and Balky runs in.
Oh, wait, let me guess. Balky runs in with the plot of the episode.
Yes. He says,
how did I know?
Cousin, big news. And he goes and joins Larry on the couch. And the big news is that Balky has just been given his first official duty as an American citizen. He's going to be serving on the jury.
Oh.
He's very excited.
Very exciting. And Larry's like, Balky, you should be excited. Jury duty is one of the most important things an American citizen can do. And he tells them it's vital that every citizen does their share in upholding the judicial system. He's very into it.
And then Balky's like, oh, well, then you'll be thrilled to know that you're going to be helping me hold it up. Why? Because, and then he gives Larry his own envelope. And Larry, after making this big speech about like, oh, you should be excited, he goes,
it's
wait,
vital.
This is a summons for jury duty. I've got more important things to do than this.
He starts whining, completely backtracking on his sense of civic duty, Larry.
Well, it was nice of him to like, he was doing it because Balky was excited. But for himself, he's like, nope. Pass.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's great for you, Balky. I got more important things. Anyways, Larry's confused. He's like, wait a minute. How did we both get jury duty at the same time? And then Balky says, well, I don't like to blow my own horn. And then he goes, but toot toot.
In a very Bronson accent.
So I don't know if they messed up the saying, but they put the toot in because using it like, I don't like to toot my own horn.
Right.
Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Blow my own horn.
Blow my own nose, blow my own horn.
Yeah.
He explains to Larry that basically he's been stalking and bugging this guy for weeks at work, on his lunch hour, at his coffee break. And he became best friends with the guy, I guess, who makes the jury list.
He's like, Dave and I became best buds.
So he's been bugging this guy for weeks, and the guy finally goes, and Bucky's all proud of what he said. He goes, and I quote, "Listen to me, you swarthy little twit." And he goes, that's his little nickname for me. He thinks he's being funny. He finally gives in. He says, I'll do it, but you have to promise never, ever to come see me again. And Balky thinks he says that because he doesn't want others to know he's doing a special favor for him. Doesn't get on to the fact that he's just being an annoying pest. And he's like,
proud of himself.
Yes.
He's like, so does it help to know the right people or what? Okay, that's fine. But like,
did that guy just break the law?
People who are related allowed to be on the same jury?
That would seem to be a conflict of interest.
Or people who live together.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And Larry's like, oh, great. And so I'm lucky because I know you.
Like, great.
And then Balky takes that as a compliment. He goes, oh, go on with you. And he pushes his face away.
His face away.
And he goes, you're not lucky, cousin. You deserve me.
And then Larry's face just goes, this is great.
And Balky gets very excited. He says he's going to go upstairs. He has to decide what to wear to jury duty. And he says, I need something that says impartial, yet firmly on the side of justice. I'm thinking paisley.
I guess paisley could work.
Paisley
it depends.
Is the jury duty.
He doesn't end up wearing paisley, but that's a funny line.
Yeah.
All right, so he goes upstairs. All right, so we have the first part of the plot. They have to serve jury duty. What's the conflict going to be, hey?
Well, thankfully, enter Jennifer to tell us. Actually, she has news for Larry, and it's good news because she has just returned from the travel agent.
Remember those? Remember.
Young people, do you know what a travel agent is?
We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. What did she do?
She's just come back from the travel agent, and she says she has such a great deal on their trip to Bermuda that they're practically paying them to go. And Larry gets all excited. He's like, that's great. And Jennifer gets all like romantic, racy, saucy. She goes, just you and me. No Marianne. No Balky.
And Larry's like, yeah, no Balky.
She's like, sunning by the pool, breakfast in bed. And Larry's like, no Balky. But the thing is, they are to leave on the 17th. And Larry's like, cool, wait. Oh, no, I've got jury duty starting on the 16th.
No.
And he asks her if they can delay the trip for a week. And Jennifer says, no, the trip is prepaid. No refunds, no exchanges. What are we going to do? And Larry says, okay, it's okay. Maybe it'll be an easy case and it'll be one day of jury duty. This could still work out. And she goes, I hope so, because we have a room with a waterbed.
Oh, boy.
I think we could make some waves. What is waterbed innuendo? I guess waterbeds were like a sexy thing.
Oh, waterbeds
back
were
in the
like
day.
high luxury. In
And Larry's
92.
like, no, I'll make it work.
Okay, but there's
Pause.
a bunch of things here.
Pause.
There's a couple of things. First of all, back to the travel agent. Remember the travel agent?
Oh, yeah.
When you needed
I remember going to one. Yeah.
an intermediary human person at a physical location to actually purchase
Before
tickets.
there was internet and websites and easy to purchase, you had to go to a physical.
Why was it so hard to
shop,
buy
a
tickets that you
physical-
had to go see
and
a
the
person?
because we didn't have access to the flights and
Only-
stuff.
yeah,
There
you
was
had to know
no
the codes.
e-commerce. There was no e-commerce.
It seems so silly now. Like, what a
You couldn't
pointless
just
thing.
like go to the airline because they didn't have websites and stuff. So there was a person whose job it was
Sure,
to know
like
how
a
to
broker. It's a weird concept.
to know how to find the different flight options and
But they would know the tricks and the best hacks and get the cheapest
Yes,
flights and all
yes.
the, especially if you're putting like a long trip with connecting flights,
Yes.
it's complicated.
tours, all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there used to be people.
So there was
you
a
had to go
person,
talk to
and
people.
I remember going to travel agents. There was one like in that little strip mall on the end of our block on Devon. On the end of our block, there was like a little travel agent.
Oh, there was lots of travel agents on Devon. Yeah.
No, but like on our side, yeah,
Because like you needed to know someone to get back to Pakistan when you had to go in the summers, right? And
yeah. Well, I remember before I went to
anyways, that job does not exist anymore largely.
No,
there may
they're
be
around,
a few
few
like specializing in like custom trips, I guess, but
Okay, so that's the travel agent.
that's travel. Second thing, yes.
Yeah.
What's your second
no, what's
thing?
your second
My
thing?
second thing is Jennifer's really excited about going on vacation with Larry. Have we forgotten what happens every time
Yes, they
Larry
almost
takes him on a
die
vacation? Yes,
on
they almost
every
die.
vacation.
Yes.
But here's the thing: this time she's planning it all,
Oh, so maybe that will make it
and
better.
maybe and they're
Okay, you have a third thing? I got a third thing.
Third thing:
Yeah.
Jennifer works for an airline.
Correct. You
Jennifer
think
works
she would
for
get
an
some
airline.
perks, some flexibility.
You'd think they have like standby tickets, companion tickets.
I thought there was things on companion tickets. No,
discounts, or like even like a connection where she could move the ticket.
yeah.
A flexible ticket.
She has to, like everybody else,
But
had
no,
to go
she
to a travel
went to the
agent.
travel
She
agent.
could ask their boss or something like, "Hey, can you hook me up? I could use a couple of."
She could have just worked a flight and gone for free, and then Larry.
Yeah, and have Larry be on the
Yeah.
flight also. You cut it down the price on half. Yeah, all those
what
things.
good is working for the airline when you can't?
Yes, and waterbeds, I guess, were sexy.
Okay, are those all the things? So
That was
far?
all the things I think
Okay.
that I had issues with in that little segment. I did. Did you notice the photos in the background? There's pictures of like the Chronicle and stuff on the mantle. Apparently,
Yeah,
I guess that Larry's still taking photographs. It's confusing.
maybe he's talking. He doesn't talk about it as a thing anymore. But remember season 1, he was like so into.
He has abandoned that dream. Maybe he
Also,
does.
It's already giving us a little more racy than usual, and that's going to continue. We're going to get more. That may have been because this very week that this episode aired, Perfect Strangers moved to the 9:30 p.m. slot on
That's like
Friday
the last
night.
slot of the block, like of the 4
9:30
shows.
Eastern. That was
would have
yeah.
been the last slot. So
And it
that's
was
not a
there
good
for
sign.
a while, and then it eventually moved to Saturday
That
night.
which is even worse for
'Cause
a
it's
show.
not TGIF.
It's
anymore.
not TGIF, and everybody traditionally went out on Saturday nights. Those ratings were bad on Saturday nights. Nobody watched anything on Saturday night. For a show that built TGIF, that was the lead show, it is now in the last slot, soon to be booted out of the whole thing entirely.
But that's maybe why they're able to be a little bit more racy.
Sure.
But
Make a waterbed joke, sure.
no, there's more.
Oh, there's more. Oh, there is more,
There is
actually.
more. Okay, back to the action. The next scene we see, we're at the courthouse. We haven't seen any of the trial, but it's over.
This is weird. And you don't even get a shot of the jury. You just get this shot of the judge telling you some things.
Yeah, what is he telling?
He says, members of the jury, the defendant, Bob Taylor, has been charged with the armed robbery of Jerry's gas and shop. It is your duty to settle the unanimous verdict. We will now retire the jury room for your deliberations. And he bangs the gavel. Says
We
next
need
case.
a unanimous verdict.
But that's all we see.
Yeah.
We don't actually know any details about the trial. We'll get some. So it's kind of hard to get you invested in jury deliberations of a trial
when you haven't
did
heard
not
any
see.
Of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Pause for a second. This judge,
who has like the shortest of cameos. He literally has like
cameos,
2 lines.
But he is a man called S. Mark Jordan. I don't know what the S is for. He did a lot on Broadway and on stage, and then a lot of TV shows as well. Hill Street Blues, The A-Team, Days of Our Lives, Mr. Belvedere, Designing Women, Mama's Family, Night Court. Maybe he was a judge there too.
Oh, yeah.
Doogie Howser, MD, Seinfeld.
Oh, there's another Seinfeld dude in this show. I don't remember. Maybe I remember
Caroline
him
in the City, and a bunch of others. He's done voice work and commercials, but very, very short appearance here as the judge. Okay. So then we cut to inside the jury, like deliberation room.
Yeah, there's a big table. There is 12 individuals sitting around the table with pads, pens, paper, and stuff, and there's a window. And it seems as though somehow Larry has been elected as foreman. This is your first mistake.
Yeah,
right
we
here,
didn't
jury.
see that process.
How did Larry get put in charge? Oh, boy. I guess it is their show.
Yeah. Okay, so Larry's the foreman. He's standing in front of all these people, and he's like speed talking. He wants to get out of there and get home and pack for Bermuda. He's like, okay, we have an open and shut case. Let's just take a quick vote. We're out of here. And
Big bang boom.
And everybody starts writing their verdicts on a little piece of paper. And while they're doing that, Balky's like in awe. He's like, cousin, you were born to be a foreman. And he goes, I could kick myself for not bringing my camera, which is like silly because probably you can't bring a camera into a jury deliberation. I don't know what the rules were back then, but I imagine now you can't even have your phones or anything. Okay. And Balky is wearing his Posey tuxedo.
Oh, he looks sharp.
He didn't go with Paisley.
Oh, where's the Paisley Balky?
Posey tuxedo.
Lied.
Because this is a very serious occasion, and that's his serious outfit. Everybody passes their votes to Larry, and he starts reading them one by one. He says, guilty, 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 not guilty.
Uh-oh.
And then another not guilty.
Uh-oh.
And then a guilty, another not guilty, and another guilty. This is a problem. And he goes,
it's not unanimous.
Okay, which 3 morons voted not guilty? He goes, no offense. Voted not guilty.
You can't ask that, Larry Appleton, the foreman of a jury.
Right.
You should know better.
Right. And so that's what Balky tells him. We took a secret ballot. You can't. It's a secret ballot to decide a man's future. A man's future.
And Larry's like, Bucky, shut up. Shut up. It's very mean to him.
Yeah, he's very mean. For most of this episode. And he goes, all right. And he's like trying to get everyone out of there. So he's like, and himself, he says, let's recount the evidence for the 3 of you who seem to have dozed off during the trial. And he picks up this box, his evidence box, cardboard box. And he goes,
it's just a cardboard box with like
cardboard box.
3 things in it.
So he holds them up one by one. The first one, he says, the defendant was apprehended the night of the jury with Exhibit A, this jacket. And he pulls out this like...
It's a very loud striped jacket.
It's like rainbow plaid.
Yeah, it's very ugly and
bright
loud.
colored.
Something a clown would wear.
Yeah.
When he's not being a clown, like as a casual clown.
But Balky loves it. He goes, wow, what a piece of goods. He's like, let me see the lining on it. And he goes to touch it, and Larry slaps his hand. Larry tells them that the jacket was reminds them that the jacket was positively identified by the store attendant.
And Larry goes on. He's like, number 2. And Bucky's like, cause it. And Larry's like, number 2. And Bucky's like, cause it. And Larry's like, what is it? And Bucky goes, what color were the assailant's pants? Larry goes, it doesn't matter. He's trying to be like number 2, and Bucky's like, oh, hold on. He's what? He goes, he's like, no. And Larry's like, what? And then Balky goes, no, I beg to quibble with you. Is that the right saying?
I beg to differ.
I don't want to quibble. I don't mean to quibble. I beg to quibble with you. He says the defendant's pants were brown. Okay. No one would wear brown pants with this jacket. There's his first evidence that something is not right with this case. And Larry just looks at him and goes,
disregards him.
Number 2. It just continues.
And then he pulls a gun out of the box.
It's a revolver.
Gun,
it's like a 6-shooter revolver gun just in his hand.
And I was like, what? The defendant was found with a gun in his pocket. He holds up the gun.
I mean, it's got a tag. Like the jacket has a tag. There's an evidence tag, but it's...
Yeah, and it was the same kind of gun used for the robbery, and this is Exhibit B.
I just find it's weird that there's just a gun in a cardboard box there.
It's evidence.
It's evidence, I guess. Also, shouldn't it be in a baggie? He's getting his fingerprints all over. What's going on here?
Too, yeah. And then he wants to move on. He's like, and finally, we have Exhibit. And by then, Balky has taken the gun from his hand and he's holding it like.
He's holding it from the handle. And like a gun. He's like
how you fire it.
He's like, let me see that.
And then Larry sees this as he's talking. He's like, put that down, put it down. And they start like wrestling with the gun and it's like waving wildly in the air. And someone in the room goes, hit the deck. And all the other jurors duck under the table because they're waving this gun around.
They go under the table like it's a nuclear bomb drill in grammar school, right? It's so funny. And Balky's like, my finger is caught. Let go. My finger is caught like on the trigger. Yeah. And Larry finally pulls it back and he's holding it up. And he looks up and he sees everybody under the table. He goes, people, it's not loaded.
So everybody comes back up.
They all thought that was just a loaded gun in a cardboard box.
I mean,
you don't know.
Didn't they tell them, like, as they gave them the box, here's the evidence?
I thought that was, I mean, I get it. Like somebody's waving a gun. It is, but come on. This is evidence. You thought it was loaded?
Yeah.
And they could probably shoot through the table also. It's not going to help you.
But they needed some physical comedy, right? So everyone ducks on the table. Okay, so they all come back up. And then Larry says, finally, we have Exhibit C, and he pulls out, it's just a piece of paper, and it's a court record that says that $214 were found in the defendant's coat pocket. And that's the same exact amount of money that was stolen. And he goes, coincidence, you say? I think not. What we have here is enough evidence. And
again, it's like, cousin, I just want.
And he's like, what? What is
cousin,
it?
I have a comment.
What?
I have a comment.
What? And he goes, and then, he goes, what?
And Balky goes, he stands up and goes, now this is interesting. He goes, Bob testified.
And Larry goes, who's Bob?
Larry goes, who is Bob? And Balky's like, who is Bob? He goes, and there's a guy in the back who raises his hand. One of the jurors. And Balky's like,
to answer
who is Bob. He's like, no, thank you. I want him to answer. And he points at Larry. He goes, Bob Taylor, cousin, the defendant. Larry doesn't even remember his name. He goes, we are deciding where Bob is going to spend his next 5 to 9 birthdays, and you cannot even remember his name? That's a good point. Larry doesn't even know the dude's name that he's trying to send to jail.
He's thinking about Bermuda and that waterbed.
Yeah.
And so Balky's like, you can't even remember Bob Taylor's name. And Larry goes, all right, guilty Bob. And I like this line. Balky says, cousin, he is innocent, Bob, until he is proven guilty, Bob.
That's right. That's how it works.
Balky reminds everyone that Bob testified that he was standing on the street corner and all of a sudden another man came running along and threw the jacket at him.
Okay, he doesn't remind us. We never knew that. This is interesting. We're finding out a piece of the testimony that's possibly important. Apparently, Bob is saying somebody threw this coat at me that had the gun and the money in it.
Yeah, the defendant. And Balky starts saying, now, I think that this is, and Larry goes, don't think.
Don't think.
Okay?
Don't think.
Don't think. And Balky just says, cousin, let me just finish my thought. He goes, okay, don't think, okay? Listen to me. And Balky says, let me finish my thought. And then they start arguing. They're like talking over each other. And then Balky like breaks down. He goes, you're embarrassing me in front of the other jurors. And he's having a little fit.
And he sits down and it's a little awkward. There's like awkward silence. They show the other jurors who are like, this is awkward. And Larry just kind of takes a deep breath and slows it down and sits down next to him. And he just goes, now, facts are facts, people, and it is our job to look at the facts and using our objective minds, vote to send this scumbum pig filth up the river. Okay, let's vote.
Scumbum
pig filth.
Up the river.
It's a little alliterative. I like it.
So they all write on their papers again, and they pass them to Larry, and he reads them again, and he says, guilty, 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 guilty. And he goes, much better, people.
Yeah, because about now is when he got the not guilty, but it's all
going
guilty.
Through the papers, there's a few more. He says, guilty, 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 guilty. I'm sorry, cousin. I just couldn't do it. He reads that. That's what's written on the last paper. And Larry tosses all the papers in the air, and everyone groans.
Everyone's
and
like,
we fade to black.
That's
the
funny.
End of Act 1.
That's funny.
So now it's
clearly Balky is the
story
holdout.
of 12 angry men. But
Yes.
Balky is the holdout.
One holdout. Fade to black. Listener, join this conversation. Join our Facebook group where I post a thread of every episode we're going to record ahead of time. You can watch along on the Amazon Prime. You can leave your observations and questions and thoughts right there. We'll roll it into the show, and you can meet other listeners of this show and fans of Perfect Strangers. It's a fun place to profess your love.
Indeed, it is.
In a very niche-y thing. Hey.
Your love and or your frustration with these.
80s TV, though, is still kind of big. That Fall Guy movie just came out.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Oh, how was it?
It's all right. It's fun. It didn't make a lot of money, though.
Well, yeah.
Didn't do well. I don't know if that is a problem with the overall people just not going to the theaters or the fact that it's a 40-year-old TV show that I don't think a lot of people even remember.
Oh, yeah.
Even
but it's Ryan Gosling.
That's what I'm saying. It's got the gauze in it, and it could not put butts in the seats, unfortunately. We did review it on our Jock and Nerd podcast, if you want to hear that. It's okay. The stunts are great. Whatever.
All right.
But 80s TV is still alive in some fashion.
Kind of. They're trying. Maybe it won't be after that movie's success or lack of.
Yeah.
Okay, Act 2. We see Larry and Balky at home now.
Well, they come walking into their home,
so
and
it's the evening of the first day after their jury duty.
They're not sequestered.
They're not that's what I thought. But it's not like a high profile murder or even a big crime. It's like a robbery.
It's not like a big deal that they got to stay away from the media.
I don't know how jury sequestration works, but I guess they're not. For the purposes of this show.
They get to go home. You just have to come back the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Larry is very frustrated as they are arriving home. He says, this is just great. Thanks to you, we have to go back to the courthouse tomorrow morning. That's what we found out.
That is how it works. That happened to me, too. Well, good. My story.
And Balky's like, wait a minute. I'm the one who ought to be upset, and I am upset because I'm pretty sure that even as foreman, you had no right to try to make me change my vote by forcing me to stand in a corner.
Oh, he made him stand in the corner with a dunce hat.
Yes.
You stand there.
Balky's the one who forced him to do jury duty in the first place.
That is true.
And Balky goes to the kitchen. They're both upset. And Jennifer comes down the stairs to meet Larry in the living room, and she has this tiny little bag. She asked Larry if he finished packing, and he says, no, there's a little hitch. I have more jury duty tomorrow, but it's okay. I'll be finished early in the morning. And then he says this weird line. He says, maybe if you finish packing your stuff, you can pack mine. And I'm like, but you're not at jury duty right now. Like, you can pack your own bag.
He's like, pack my bag, woman.
You're not
what are you doing?
You don't have to
pack my
sit
bag.
And do nothing for the rest of the night.
I was waiting for her to be like, you pack your own bag.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what?
That's not what Jennifer says, though.
What does this line even serve? Why did they even write that line?
He's trying to be helpful. He said, Jennifer, if you have some free time and you don't know what to do, you can pack my stuff. I'll let you. I will let you pack my bag. Isn't that a privilege?
And Jennifer goes, maybe it was just a conduit to get to this next line. Because Jennifer goes, oh, I finished packing. And she holds up the tiny bag and she pulls out a tiny string bikini, basically.
That is a string bikini. There's not a lot of cloth on it.
And she goes, oh, all I'm taking is this. And Larry just starts drooling, mouth open, whatever. And Jennifer kisses him, and then she goes, oh, she looks at it again. She goes, I don't know how much I'll be wearing it. And then she leaves and walks back up the stairs, and Larry's like, boo. Anyway.
Larry's all hot and bothered, and he goes into the kitchen, and he sees Balky at the counter there just eating a whole cheesecake.
A whole cheesecake.
By himself. It's like a giant
just
cheesecake.
Just a fork into the cheesecake.
I mean, I've done that, but that is, you're hitting rock bottom. I don't know what you're doing there. I guess he's upset. But before Larry can talk to Balky, he needs to cool himself off because Jennifer got him all going. Yeah. So he goes over to the sink, gets a glass of water, and just throws it in his face and all over his jacket.
Yes.
And then wipes it off and then takes a deep breath and puts on a fake smile. It's kind of funny. He's just like, hi. Like, he's trying to be fake friendly. He's like, let me go over and deal with this. Now he has calmed down and he's walked over to Balky eating the cheesecake. And he's like, look, Balky, I'm sorry. I was so hard on you. I'm a lot calmer now. And he goes, this might be a good time for me to hear your interpretation of the facts. And then he goes, and then I can tell you exactly where you're mistaken.
Balky's like, I'm not mistaken.
And Larry goes, if you're mistaken.
Balky says, I happen to have very good reasons for voting not guilty.
Oh, great. Larry's like, I would love to hear them. So would we.
And Balky says, no, you wouldn't.
And Larry's like, yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
Insisting, trying to be polite. Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't. Yes, I would. And then finally, Larry slams his hand on the counter and goes, yes, I would.
The old escalation bit. Yes. We've seen it many times.
And he says, tell me. And he goes, okay. Balky's like, okay. Aside from the glaringly obvious fact that the plaid jacket don't belong in the defendant's wardrobe, I noticed that over a 5-minute period, the defendant blinked his eyes 27 times.
Okay.
I also noticed he crossed his hands right over left.
Right over left.
Now, if that don't say innocent, I don't know what it does.
Okay, and so
what?
Larry has the face that we all have, like
yeah, but like white. Knowing Balky, I totally expected this to be followed by some Meposian logic that actually makes sense, or
like a Meposian wives' tale that's like right over left means this, or 27.
Or like 27.
Like it's 27. Did he think it was a lot or not enough?
We don't know.
If you're lying, you tend to blink more.
Yeah.
But is it a low amount of blinks in that amount? We don't know. And Larry just
27 in 5 minutes seems low.
Seems low. So maybe he's saying he wasn't blinking. Anyways. This is all implied. We are making all this up because they don't give us anything. They just leave you.
Just 27 times.
And that's what
right over left.
And that's what Larry's reaction is, just like us. He goes, okay, he's trying to be calm. Let's see. Eye blinking. And Balky goes 27 times. And Larry goes, hands crossed.
Right over left.
Right over left. And then Larry says, in the aforementioned wardrobe inconsistency. Or Balky says that.
Yeah.
And Larry's like, wardrobe inconsistency. And then he just looks at Balky and goes, are you out of your mind? He says it real funny.
Are you out of your mind?
He's like, that's the stupidest observations I ever heard.
And he says, Balky, here comes Larry explaining. Balky, this is America.
There we go.
And in America, we use the facts.
Oh, and he does the hand gesture. He's doing a lot of pointing.
Yeah.
He goes, the facts, right? And he sticks his arm out and yanks something in.
As an American, must use the facts.
And he pulls something in.
And Balky just goes, cousin, I listen to the facts. And he does the same gesture. And he says, I want you to know that all of the evidence was circumcisional.
That's kind of funny. And also a little racy if you, he meant circumstantial.
Circumstantial, yeah.
Right? Now, I'm not going to tell you what circumcisional means. Look it up. Look up the word circumcision.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about it. But, like, that's a little racy 9:30 slot.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bikini also.
Yes, the bikini gets a little racy also, yes.
Okay. So then Larry comes up with this idea. He's like, okay, I'm going to show you exactly what happened. How we are going to reenact the crime.
Bucky's like, oh, yeah, we're going to act. He drags him in front of the counter.
And Larry says, I'll be the gas station attendant. You be the robber. And Bucky says, no, you be the robber. I'm not going to. And Larry goes, I'm not going to be the robber. And they go back and forth. You be the robber. I'm not going to be the robber. you be the robber. And Balky says, I'm not going to be some scumbag pig breath robber whose name wasn't even Bob.
Yeah, he changed it to scumbug pig breath instead of scumbum.
And Larry goes, fine, you be the attendant. And Balky says, I can't be the attendant. My shirt is too clean.
And Larry looks at him and goes, you just started your shift. And then Balky pauses for a second. And when I heard this line, it sounded just like he was doing Bronson. Like no accent. Like Bronson answered, he goes, okay, I can make that work. It's wicked the clean shirt. But it sounded like, I was like, that's straight Bronson. There's no accent in there. Maybe it's a very meta thing he did on purpose.
Look, I think even those two are getting bored with the show by then. And he wasn't really doing that. The accent was very loosey-goosey.
It was it's loosey-goosey in season 7 for sure.
Okay. So Larry's like, okay. So Balky's the attendant and Larry's the robber. He says, now, when I, as the robber, come in, you, as the attendant, are behind the counter, okay? And Larry moves Balky to the other side of the counter. He goes, I come in, and then Balky interrupts him. Cousin, no, wait. And he's like, what? He goes, well, if I'm the attendant, then you have to move more that way, because this is not really the counter right here. This is the peanut display right here. He's like, and it's like nothing. They're just like standing in there. They're imagining. And he goes on, he's like, over here is the beef jerky display. And Larry
just grabs him by the shirt and pulls him in the front. He goes, I don't care about your beef jerky or your peanut display. All I care about is going to Bermuda. And at that line, Balky's like,
eyes open real wide. He reacts. And Larry goes, I mean, upholding justice.
Oh, he let it slip. And Balky's just like, excuse me, going to Bermuda? And Larry's like, who would want to go to Bermuda? And he's trying to change the subject. He's like, that's not the point. They bring him back. He brings him back to the counter. He's like, okay, you're the attendant. Beef jerky's here. Get to do the thing.
And then Balky is not having it. He grabs Larry by the shirt, pulls him
right up to his face.
Around, and up to his face. He goes, listen to me. Cut the baba sticky.
That's great.
You want me to vote guilty and send an innocent man to rot away in prison so that you can go to Bermuda with Jennifer? And Larry goes, no, that's not it at all. And Balky says, then what is it? And Larry goes, okay, that's it.
Okay, that's it. He goes, okay, that's it. And then he does this great whiny little thing where he's like, we don't understand the tickets prepaid and the bikini, this tiny, she bring in this tiny thing, this tiny, and I was thinking maybe I don't know, we could do.
And Balky is just like shaking his head. He says, you know what? You're not the only one who had plans. Today is the last day that the carnival's in town, and I was planning to go down and see how many times I could ride the tilt-o-whirl before I got sick, and now that dream is shattered.
Oh, boy.
And he runs away crying from the kitchen. So they're both, like, really annoyed with each other.
Yes.
That's the night of the first day. So then we cut to the next day, day 2 of this jury duty.
Back at the Cook County Courthouse jury room.
Yes. Well, we don't know if it's
no, it says there's an exterior shot. And it's the Cook County. They actually use the shot of the Cook County Courthouse and cut to the set in LA. And now it's a very different vibe in this jury room, right? It seems people have been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
How do you know? They've all taken their jackets off.
Yeah, they're
That's
all
how
disheveled.
You know. They're a little
shirts
disheveled.
Untucked. They're all sitting in various corners of the room.
The lady had a jacket.
Tired.
The jackets are off. The shirts are loose. The ties are askew.
Yeah.
In fact, Larry is in the back of the set in the corner on a chair, just off in his own head.
Yeah.
As you hear Balky explain to the guy, you hear him just go, he blinked 27 times.
As if he's been explaining this over and over again.
He's like, okay, 27 times. And the guy seems very annoyed with him. And then you just cut to Larry in the corner, and he's like drawing on the wall with his finger absentmindedly. And he's like, no plane, no Bermuda, no bikini. Oh, very sad Larry in the background there.
And then we cut back to the foreground, and the man that Balky's talking to is like a biggish dude. And he goes, I'm getting just a little sick and tired of you, Captain Garlic.
Oh, Captain Garlic.
He calls Balky Captain Garlic.
What does this mean? Is this a breath joke?
And he stands up, and he goes, he gets a little threat. We'll find out about Captain Garlic in a minute. He stands up, and he like sort of leans over him in a threatening way. And he goes, why don't we try a little physical persuasion to help him come to the right decision? He's saying to the others.
Oh, boy.
And Balky defends himself. He says, I'm just trying to prevent all of you from making a horrible mistake. And just for your information, a clove of raw garlic each day will ward off heart attack.
Is that true?
I think so.
A little health advice.
Yeah.
Garlic is very good for you. But the juror doesn't care, and he takes a quick vote. He says, all in favor of pulverizing this guy, say aye. And everybody goes, aye.
Aye.
And they all jump up, and they start chasing Balky around the table,
What were they
around
going to
the
do?
room. I don't know. They get
themselves arrested for assaulting
Would they gonna throw him out the window?
Yeah.
What would they? They were going to torture him to convince him to change his vote. So they're grabbing at his throat
in a courthouse. Yeah.
And Larry finally gets up, breaks it up. He's like, "Oh, stop! Wait a minute." He's like, cut it out. He's like, what you're doing is wrong. You're condemning a man for having the guts to stand up for what he believes in, no matter how stupid it is. That's America. You have a right to do that.
Yeah.
He goes, so what if we're inconvenienced for a couple of days, missing our vacations, locked away from our wives and their tiny little bikinis?
He's not locked away. He just saw his wife.
He just went home. We were just with her last night. She could put the bikini on.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is what I was confused. I was like, is this just the end of an 8-hour day? Why are they so disheveled?
No,
have they been there for days? Did the rest of them get
day?
So the rest of them got to go home and come back. Yes.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd be a little more
They're
relaxed.
not locked away. And yeah, she could have totally put the bikini on that night. Anyway.
Things got bad in one 8-hour day for them, I guess.
Yeah.
And now, so Larry's standing there trying to defend Balky, right? And he's like, they're missing their wives, the bikini, and he stops for a minute and then just goes, let's get him. And he turns on Balky like that.
He joins the mob.
And Balky like jumps onto the chair in the corner. He's like above them.
Yeah.
And then Larry decides to change his mind again and grabs a chair to hold the mob back like a lion tamer in a circus.
And then the guy goes, the angry juror goes, whose side are you on? Anyway, they're all confused.
Yes, Larry's not sure.
And so he's holding them off with the chair. And Balky says, let me try talking to them, cousin. He says, I have a way with angry mobs.
Okay.
And then he goes, fellow jurors, please. You're acting exactly like a flock of sheep before the winter shearing. You're jumpy, itchy, chafed.
Chafed is a funny word. It's funny.
And
chafed.
Everyone just looks confused. Like, and then the main guy goes, let's hurt him.
They lunge for him again.
They lunge, and Larry's trying to fight them off.
And remember Captain Garlic? Balky has a superpower because he just blows his breath at the mob and it blows them back.
And then they're like,
a small victory for Balky.
But then the angry juror, his name's Pete, he goes, wait, just hold your breath and he's ours. And they all inhale together and hold their breath. And then they lunge at Balky. And there's a big commotion.
In the corner. They're all on top of him.
They're all trying to get at Balky, who's standing on this chair in a corner. And just then, the door opens and the bailiff, this like portly,
this guy's great,
teddy bear looking bailiff, curly hair, enters the room and he sees all the commotion and he puts his hand on his hip and he goes, excuse me.
This guy is great. And Balky just goes, hello, just having a little discussion.
I thought this would be a great place for Balky and Larry, or maybe everyone, to stop.
Oh, all of them did it
together and go, hi.
Well, it would have been funny if Larry's head like popped out of there at the same time and they both go hi. But if everybody did it, it would be ridiculous. It would have been ridiculous.
So but instead, Balky says, just having a little discussion. And the bailiff goes, well, there's nothing more to discuss. They caught the real thief and he confessed, and the judge dropped all the charges against Mr. Taylor. Anyway, you people are free to go.
Oh my God, Balky was right. Balky was right the whole time.
Balky was right, but we don't know his reasoning. For no reason, still.
But he had a gut feeling.
Yes.
And they are all free to go.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, how did they catch him, and why did he confess if he knew that they were holding someone else? Anyway.
Well, Balky did stall them long enough to catch him, so an innocent man didn't go to jail.
Yeah, but even if they caught him after they gave him a verdict,
they would probably just let him out. Yes,
they would reverse it. Yeah. Well, you would think.
You would think. You never know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the jurors are happy. They're mumbling. They're like, "Let's get out of here." And then the big juror who was hassling Balky goes up to him and goes, "Look, pal, sorry. No offense, huh? And Bucky's just like, hey, you were venting. And people laugh.
And the audience laughed, and I don't know why.
And he leaves. Yeah. I don't know why. The bailiff is standing there. This guy, first of all, he's got such a funny look. He just looks like a cartoon come to life. Yeah. I remember this guy in things. His name is Ken Thorley.
Yeah.
Who played the bailiff. He was in Star Trek Next Generation as Mr. Mott. I think I remember him from there. He's also been on Married with Children, Baywatch, Life Goes On, Murphy Brown, NYPD Blues, Saved by the Bell, The New Class, Seinfeld, another Seinfeld guy. Whoa. I think I remember him from Seinfeld. Grace Under Fire, Lois and Clark, Melrose Place, Third Rock from the Sun, Becker, The West Wing, Curb Your Enthusiasm. He was in the movie Men in Black. Damn. He's great, and he's really funny. I mean, he has a few lines, but like everything he says is really funny.
Excuse me was hilarious.
Excuse me. Just his delivery is like this guy who really doesn't want to be doing his job.
Excuse me.
And then, who played the juror?
The juror, the angry juror, the big guy, was played by a guy called Michael McManus.
He looked familiar, too.
He looked familiar. Also been in a lot of television. Laverne and Shirley, $6 Million Man, Dallas, Happy Days, Remington Steele, Knight Rider, Mr. Belvedere, Growing Pains, Newhart.
Yeah, I've seen this guy.
Full House, Webster, Dear John, The Golden Girls, Married with Children, Night Court, Saved by the Bell, Coach, Doogie Howser, MD, and Step by Step. A lot of this universe of shows.
I definitely recognize that guy. Oh, he was in Poltergeist also.
And had a recurring role in Baywatch.
Okay. That guy definitely seemed familiar. Anyways, both guys, great character actors.
Yeah.
So everybody disperses, right? And Larry's just like, look, Balky, I'm sorry. You had to see the ugly side of jury duty. It was very ugly.
He says, I'm sure being attacked by a mob of angry jurors. You know, this reminds me of the rural juror. The rural juror. Rural juror. Anyway, he says, I'm sure being attacked by a mob of angry jurors wasn't exactly the experience you were looking for.
Yes,
Balky says, it wasn't. But the good news is that an innocent man is going home and a guilty man is going to jail. And it's nice to know that one small garlicky voice can make a difference, which is a great button lesson for the episode. But
did he really make a difference?
It wasn't his voice that made any
All
difference.
He did was stall them long enough that they happened to find, and the guy confessed.
And we know nothing. Yeah, I mean,
he was right though.
He was right, but he wasn't. He
believed.
Didn't explain.
He believed Bob when he said somebody threw this jacket at me. It's not mine.
He believed him. Yeah.
But he didn't explain it very well.
The whole 27 times and right over left was for what?
I was waiting for him to explain 27 times.
The Mipposian logic behind that, which probably made a lot of sense, but there was none. Okay, so Larry just goes, well, I'm just sorry I had to miss my plane to Bermuda. Oh, really? Are you, Larry? We didn't know that already. And he goes, and the bailiff's like, oh, no, you can still go to Bermuda.
What?
And he explains to him that according to airline policy, when serving jury duty, if you have a note from the court, they will make an exception to restricted air travel. And he goes, I'll get you a note.
I'll get you one. And he walks off.
And Larry's like, well, thank you. Okay, pause. First of all, don't you think when you start jury duty, there's all this paperwork and they tell you all this stuff? Like,
it probably said it in that letter he got.
Like you can. Secondly, Jennifer works for the airline.
Don't you think she would have instantly been like, oh, it doesn't matter. We can change
it. Doesn't she know about these rules?
I've handled this before. To be fair, though, she's not in sales and ticketing. Right? Being a flight attendant is different from being a travel agent. Maybe she doesn't.
But she would know. I think you would know the policies.
Sales and ticketing very different from what she deals with. It's in plane.
I don't know.
Accommodations, but maybe she should have known that you could.
First of all, why would she buy a restrict? I mean, she
also
works.
Is that true? It's kind of like when you have a death in the family.
Yeah, maybe it's probably true. Yeah.
Okay.
But Jennifer works for the airline. It's like what?
She has no idea.
Okay.
Listen, she had to go to a travel agent just like everybody else.
So Larry gets excited. He thanks him and he's like, this is great. And the bailiff leaves. And Balky's like, well, this worked out swell for everybody. Justice was served, and you get to go to Bermuda with Jennifer. And that means that Marianne and I will have the house to ourselves. And then this time, Balky initiates the nudge, nudge, wink, wink. He's like, eh? You know what that means, don't you? And Larry goes on with it. But Larry now is caught on. He knows exactly what Balky's talking about. So they do this whole thing. And then Larry goes, giant jigsaw puzzles. And Balky says, you know me so well.
I was waiting for that. That's great.
Wait, do you think giant jigsaw puzzles are jigsaw puzzles with giant pieces or like 1,000, 2,000 piece regular size?
I thought it's a puzzle with the giant pieces.
That's what I thought too, puzzle. But it could be just like a.
But it could be like like a 7,500.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay.
Roll credits.
And roll credits.
Listener, check out our TeePublic shop. If you want to get some Dance of Joy podcast swag, like a nice t-shirt, tank top, hoodie, cell phone case, coffee mug, tote bag, all with the Dance of Joy logo. It's a great way to support this show if you are enjoying this show. danceofjoypod.com/shop will get you there. There's a link in the episode description. Okay. What do we think of this episode? You know what? Talking about it was a lot more fun than watching it initially.
Yeah. Hold on. Have you ever done jury duty?
Yeah. So I've been called several times. I've gone in several times and they haven't picked me.
Did you
one
do the
time
interview and stuff? Any questions about the case or
no? One time I got picked. Okay. One time I got picked, and I made the jury, and I think I had to come back the next day.
What was? Oh,
it wasn't anything crazy. It was like a fender bender, and then it was up to us to just figure out what party pays what proportion of the damage.
You did the whole deliberation with the other jurors?
And we were just like, 70-30. Everybody's like, okay, 70-30. One guy, I don't even remember. So it wasn't like high stakes.
Okay.
But it was,
that was here in Chicago?
Yeah, it was kind of cool to go through the process on a very like low stakes thing. Like this is what happens. But here's the weird thing. These fates of these people are literally decided by randos. A handful of random people.
So, yes.
And if you ever heard, so I have this story, listen to other podcasts, has served in a grand jury, right? And it sounds crazy. You hear on the news, grand jury indicted so-and-so. It sounds like a big deal. You know what a grand jury actually is? It's like 9 random people.
Regular people,
yes, regular random people. And cases are just presented to them. And all they do is vote on if it goes to trial or not. That's what indicted actually means. It's just like, okay, there's enough, take this to trial. So it sounds like a way more complex thing than it is. But the alarming fact is that it's random people from all over just deciding these things. Just regular people, which is the point, I guess. Okay,
so I had this thought. I've never done jury duty yet. And maybe they're going to hear this and come.
They're going to get you now.
I had many summonses when I was younger, but I was always out of the country.
Yeah,
so
that's
our mother
great
always
way
just
to get
responded
out of it.
Saying she's
great way
not
to get
here.
Out of it.
And so I've never done it. But this episode, going back to like, what do we think of this episode? Like, I obviously there were like the holes in the logic that are bothering us and stuff. And it wasn't like super funny. There were a couple of funny moments, but I just couldn't stop thinking like this episode was from 1992. Okay. Since that time, we have a lot more knowledge about the flaws in our judicial system. And we also have podcasts and we also have all this access to find and like, innocence projects and stuff, which I think were around then, but it's been a lot more since that time. And we know there's so many stories of jury. I was just reading one the other day.
Innocent people getting sent to jail.
This woman was on a jury when, and she sent a guy to jail, and then he got out like 30 years later as a grown man, 40 years, and she went to that, and he was exonerated.
Oh my God.
They were wrong.
Wow.
And this whole piece was about her dealing with it and going to meet him and all this stuff. But like, she was like, we were so sure because they showed us the facts in the courtroom, but we know now how corrupt the process is. The facts are manipulated testimonies are coerced.
I mean, Adnan
Confessions are
Syed, anyone,
coerced.
serial
Exactly,
podcast.
serial podcast.
There's hundreds of these stories now. Yes.
So, and
Stories
so as I
change.
was watching this, I was like, all I could think was how many people are sitting in jail for their entire lives because somebody just wanted to get to Bermuda.
It kind of highlights that, yes.
And convinced all the other jurors to like rely on these like not solid facts, these tentative things, and weren't thinking critically about things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then they find out later, and then they have all this guilt about it. For the
But
rest of their lives.
You know what's even funnier? The show Jury Duty. This is a great show. That's the other thing I was thinking of.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, it is a completely improv show with one guy who does not know he's
all actors except for one guy.
He just thinks they're filming a documentary about jury duty, and they fake a whole trial. It is amazing. So there can be humor, but that wasn't real. That wasn't a real thing.
Anyway, sorry to be the downer there. That's what I thought about during this episode. But this 12 Angry Men thing, 2 angry men here, but I feel like this was a little bit of a common trope in sitcoms where they go to jury duty and there's one person who it became, I guess, after that 12 Angry Men.
It might have popped up a couple of times here, but overall it was just okay.
It was just okay. I just can't get over the fact that Jennifer works for the airline, and she should have some way around the restricted fares because she works for the airline, and B, she should know about the rules.
I just think that, compared to last week's episode, at least they had like a conflict, like a ticking clock thing for Larry to freak out about. There was some kind of stakes. So it was a little bit better than the car radio alarm thing that had no stakes and it was completely silly. At least there was some kind of structure, but there's so many great unanswerable questions in this. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it was fun to talk about. What did our listeners
think?
And
it was nice to see Balky do his American duties.
Yeah, he gets to do civic duty and actually kind of helps a guy stay out of jail.
Not really,
but not really.
But not really.
But just out of his own.
It was just okay.
Yeah.
It was fine. I wasn't like super angry about this episode, but it was.
It is season 7.
I love the bailiff.
The bailiff's great. I just laughed just looking at him.
Okay. What did our listeners think? First up, we have listener cousin Jason Kurinko, who writes, first of all, any comment that starts with first of all. He goes, first of all, but actually this is a cheerful phrase. First of all, welcome to the first episode of 1992.
Yay, Happy New Year, everybody.
We're in the home stretch now. I really liked this episode. But I'm a weirdo and love getting jury duty.
He likes the jury
duty. Liked it because it was about jury duty. He says, I have even considered Balky's method of volunteering for the privilege, but obviously that's not a thing. Maybe because I find the trial process so fascinating, I was on Balky's side the whole time. Loved the reference to 12 Angry Men, a classic movie that everyone should watch once. I don't understand why Jennifer was so upset that Larry might not be able to go to Bermuda. Didn't she say the deal she got was so good they were practically paying them to go? Okay, so it doesn't seem like they would have lost much money by canceling.
That's a good point.
It's a very good point. I did enjoy when Larry was trying to describe Jennifer's swim attire to Balky. His wordless hemming and hawing reminded me of Jerry Lewis, which for me is a plus.
Yeah.
He's done Jackie Gleason, Oliver Hardy, and now Jerry Lewis.
It's a little Jerry Lewis. Yeah, I like it.
And also when he goes, are you out of your mind?
Are you out of your mind? Yeah.
I did find it beyond believability that the judge would allow the jury to bring the gun into the deliberation
I thought that
room
was just me.
to inspect and handle, but overall, a solid episode.
Cousin Jason liked it.
We do have one response comment from cousin Pam Hitchcock, who says in Ohio, at the discretion of the judge, a gun as a piece of evidence can go into the jury room. Ammunition can also go in during a separate trial.
Yeah, but it's probably in a baggie where you can't get your dirty fingerprints all over it, Larry.
Yeah, the fingerprints. Yeah, okay. Anyway. Okay, so cousin Jason liked it. Next up, we have more from listener cousin Pam Hitchcock, who writes, I'm really suspending my disbelief on this one. First, another
first.
First, there's a list for jury duty. You can join and you can sign up anyone you want to go with you.
I guess that's how it works.
Then, skipping ahead to the conclusion, I'm to believe that the real robber, who is about to get off scot-free, confesses to a first-degree felony charge with significant jail time. Why?
Maybe he felt guilty.
Carrying a gun during a robbery implies you are willing to shoot, maim, kill someone. I don't think someone like that cares about the injustice of an innocent man going to jail in his place. Maybe you feel guilty, or maybe the cops beat you up.
Maybe they beat a confession out of that guy. Yeah, possible.
Cousin Pam writes, as for jury duty itself, it's important to our justice system. Law bores me to tears, and it's hard for me to be impartial, so I would not be a good juror. I applaud the people who can do it. Balky, the psychoanalysis of Bob. I'm afraid it's a big no can do. You have to know a person's baseline traits before you can analyze them. For instance, excessive eye blinking could denote lying, anxiety, dry eyes, etc., or be completely normal for that person. Right hand over left, confidence, neurosis, nothing normal. Only a trained professional can truly read body language, and even they can be fooled. Or is behavior analyst one of Balky's specialties on Mypos we haven't heard of yet? That's why I was saying, I was totally expecting
him to have some kind of reason.
Yeah. That came from Myposian.
I like though she's psychoanalyzing his psychoanalysis. Yeah. This is great. But that's what I was thinking too. Like, what does the blinking mean? Maybe what if he's left-handed and he's right over left?
What? Okay, and she writes, I don't know what color pants you'd have even worn with that jacket. Best answer, throw the jacket out. Brown seemed reasonable to me. I would have liked to hear Balky expound on it. This episode robbed me of 23 minutes, and she didn't even give it a rating.
Guilty. The episode is guilty. There used to be a show with Tim Roth called Lie to Me, where this guy ran this company, and he was really good at reading microaggressions, so he could tell that people were lying. And it was cool because they'd zoom in, and they'd show you like pupils dilating or a little eye twitch or a muscle twitch on the face. And he would explain what that means and stuff.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I couldn't be a good liar. I've done polygraph tests.
Yeah.
Those are really hard. Like,
no, let's just say I'm not good at poker or Texas Hold'em. Like, I'll give away everything on my face.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have planned and thrown a couple really good surprise parties where that counts enough.
That counts. It's acting.
It's acting. Okay, next up we have listener cousin Nicole Stoner, who writes, Balky's heart is in the right place, but at this point in the series, you'd think he'd learn to not sign Larry up for things without asking permission first, even though you don't voluntarily sign up for jury duty. Yes, everybody
knows that rule, apparently. You can't just sign up for jury duty. That's not a thing.
So, like, people seem to side with Balky, even though he didn't really save this guy.
Yeah.
But he was trying to do the right thing. And Larry was not. And finally, we have listener cousin Whitney Smith, who, oh my goodness, she starts for one thing. We have two firsts and a for one thing at the beginning.
That's like a first.
Ugh.
For one thing.
For one thing, I hate jury duty.
Okay, not many people like it. She said,
as an American citizen, this is a right I could do without. And she hates it. And plus, then if you don't respond, you get punished. It's like, what? Okay. But she agrees that Balky was wrong to volunteer Larry for jury duty. And then somehow they were assigned to the same case, which doesn't seem right. She says Perfect Strangers After Dark is really pushing the raciness more and more this season. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's 9:30.
It's at 9:30 Eastern. And then it's going to be on Saturday. And then she agrees with like a lot of things that have already been said. And then she goes, can someone tell me what was the real plot of this episode? They were jurors to a robbery for 2 days. And then all of a sudden the real robber confessed.
That's the plot right there.
What was the point then?
Yeah.
And she says, but this was also your typical jury duty episode where whether it's 6 or 12 jurors, 5 of the 6 or 11 of the 12 vote the same way and one votes the other way. Family Matters did the same.
Oh, they did recycle this on Family Matters.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like I've seen it on other shows. Cousin Whitney says, all in all, this was an episode that was just meh.
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 Don't be ridiculous was not said.
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous.
Did not hear that, but I think we did see Dimitri on the fireplace in the photo along with pictures of the Chronicle and outdoor exteriors. It's weird.
Okay, now let's talk about Perfect Strangers Today, or PS Today, which is the segment of this podcast where we talk about can we modernize this episode? Can we remake this episode today? Does it hold up? What things would need to change? Well, first of all,
the first thing is, for one thing, A, 2,
first,
and D.
First of all
of this,
you wouldn't
yes.
need a travel agent to give you a deal.
Yeah. You can't do the travel agent bit. You still can't change your ticket, though.
But you can look it up online. You're like, oh wait, I have jury duty. Let me see if they have exceptions to the restricted
That's
ticket.
true.
Let me look at the
all
fine
that,
print.
all
It's
that
all
stuff
online.
is online.
It's available.
Yeah. There's still jury duty.
I
I don't know. You'd have to make it more realistic. I don't know how you get them both on the same jury.
You can't. Yeah,
Listen,
you can't
lots
have
of
two
suspension
cousins on the
of
same
disbelief.
jury.
Yes.
I
By some.
mean, they're not like blood. They're not like really close cousins.
They have
could
different
be two
last
random
names,
people,
so they wouldn't know.
but they do live
the same
together,
address.
and
They
I'm
have the same
pretty
address.
sure they ask, like, do you know?
But if you're roommates, they could call both you and your roommate.
Yeah, but then
Maybe.
they wouldn't put you on the same
I feel
jury.
like they'd spread it out more.
Yeah,
Yes.
because don't you have to answer? Do you have any like relationship or conflicts with any other people in this jury?
I think they ask you if you have anything with the defendants. That's it. But the first stage is you go and you sit in this room and you're given a number and you have to wait until they call your number. And basically you're sitting there hoping they don't call your number. Because mostly what happens is they don't call your number. At the end of the day, you're like, you guys can go home. Here's your check for $15.
Right.
They give you a check too. It's not a lot of money. It's like $15 a day. So that's what happened to me mostly. Like my number would never come up and I'd get let go. Now, when they do call your number, that's when they take you in and talk.
But I think you're not supposed to know anybody else on the jury because, listen, I haven't done it. All my whole knowledge of jury duty is from television shows.
Yes.
But on Schitt's Creek, which is a much more modern.
They did a jury duty episode.
Moira and Jocelyn get called for jury duty at the same time, and then Moira really wants to get on because it's like a similar case to the people that screwed up their lives.
Oh,
and she's trying to pretend like she doesn't know Jocelyn, but then they communicate, and the judge is like,
They get
"Wait,
in
you
trouble.
two know each other?"
Oh.
And Jocelyn really wants to be on it too, and then they both get booted.
Yeah. You know, Balky, the first thing Balky would be like, I'm so glad to be here with my cousin Judge.
Yeah.
Your Honor,
So
Your Majesty.
he's the one who got him.
So I don't know how you get him on the
How
same.
do you get him on the same jury?
But then he's elected for, like, the deliberation part. You can
all that
largely
part
still
can be
do
the
that.
same. You'd
Yeah.
have to answer these questions. So I would write in some Meposian something about what 27 blinks means and right over left.
Something that's in the testimony that ties into something that shows Balky that he's innocent. And,
Right.
kind of like in
Something that shows that the rest of the group were going by like what the court, I don't know, like the schemes or whatever, the loose
you have
facts.
to do you do it like My Cousin Vinny. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's a brilliant way where Marissa Tomei tells him about the tire tread and the thing, and she proves it was a different car just because she knows about cars.
Yeah.
Something clever like that you would have to write. So I don't know, medium per PS Today score, I think.
I think pretty low.
Pretty low.
today.
I'll give it medium. Like you can still do it.
medium. You'd have to change a few things. Okay.
That's it for this week, cousin listener. Join us next week when, oh my God, Dimitri goes missing. Oh no, somebody stole Dimitri. They misplaced him. Is he in the chimney? Did you look into the walk-in fireplace?
Out.
In the meantime, there's another way you can support the show. You can buy us a virtual coffee. We have a fun virtual tip jar. Go to danceofjoypod.com/support. There's a buy us a coffee button there, and you can give back for all the nostalgia and research and entertainment you get listening. All of it goes back into the show. We appreciate any and all support.
Buy us a cough drop. You can also show us all the love and support for completely free if you want by visiting us at our website, danceofjoypod.com. But don't stop there. You got to keep visiting. You got to keep pressing buttons and visit us on all the platforms where this podcast is available, and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a rating and a review, say hi. You can also send us a voice message from our website. Tell us your jury duty story. Have you been called? Were you sequestered?
Or creative ways you got out of jury duty.
How did you get
Those
out
are
of
also
it?
fun
Did
stories.
you make it to Bermuda? Did you make it out of Bermuda is the bigger question, because it's like a triangle thing. Anyway, or you can send us an email at danceofjoypod@gmail.com, or please do visit us on any of our social media accounts. Hit that subscribe and like button. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we monitor all our messages there. Send us a hello. Tell us your story. We'd love to hear from you. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
It is important to do your civic duty as a citizen, but only when it's convenient to you. Don't make them tell you where to show up. No, the real important thing is share the show with your fellow jurors.
And count how many times the defendant
Make sure you
blinks.
notice how many times they blink. Share the show with the bailiff, with the judge, the stenographer. Let's not forget the important work stenographers do on the weird machine with the slashes and marks. I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know if they do that way anymore. You ever seen the stenographer machine?
Do.
It's like
they still use that.
It's like a coded keyboard. I'm like, what are you even typing?
And share the show with the artist.
Oh, courtroom sketch artist.
Courtroom sketch artist.
You know, I wanted to do that too for a long time.
Have.
In states where cameras aren't allowed. I'm good at drawing
like
fast.
trials where cameras aren't allowed. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like state rule or trial. Yeah. I love the courtroom sketches. There's a couple of famous ones.
That's our show for today. Now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy. Hey, hey.